Straight to the point. Mistakes we're making while we play Warzone. Check them out. Subscribe and comment. Oh boy, mistakes we make playing Warzone. Well, the list is countless. There's so many mistakes that you might be making that, probably I'm not gonna cover all of them because each player is making different mistakes, but I'm gonna focus on the main ones. First one, you don't know the map. How do you plan to win Warzone if you don't know the map? Just study it, do your homework, make sure that you know each area, quite well. Memorize where, where the vendors are and where there's some, stashes, and just follow it. Another problem that you might be facing is you don't do any missions. Now, whichever missions you choose, just do them. Scavengers, bounties, recon, doesn't matter, just do them because this is the way for you to get some fast cash and you need it. Now, third mistake that you're making is you drop in an area where there's so many players you just can't keep up. As you can see, a normal gun, let's say the Scar, has around 30 bullets. Now, let's say with them you might be able to kill two people, and you're gonna be left with a few bullets. Then you need to melee, and look, that guy was terrible. That's why I got him. But just be careful. Where you drop. Another thing is you pick weapons which you don't know how to play with. In the example, I had the Scar, which in my opinion is the worst starting weapon. Now, if you have the chance to use something else, always use it because Scar is very unpredictable weapon. Now, here I'm using the M13. If you have a chance, just get it. If you have the MP5, MP7, just use them. They're quite decent weapons, and usually they come with a little bit more ammo. Now, following the missions, you'll be able to amount some cash, and this will help you, buy your loadout in case that's the type of scenario you're planning. As we said, always plan, and you need to know what exactly your objective will be. Cover the area so you can get all the gas masks and absolutely everything. Open each stash because you don't know what you're gonna be doing. You're gonna find a lot of things. Another mistake that people are doing is, if you aim is not as great. Now, about that, it needs practice, but it's mostly because of the weapon that you use. You're not used to them. Over here, aim for the head. Here I was aiming a little bit down. That really messed up everything. Now, the moment you go into the gulag, you don't have the advantage of teams where someone can tell you exactly where your opponent is, but there are a few tips which you might utilize, so you can win. First one is use your equipment, because if you don't use it, you're just, missing an opportunity to win. What I would recommend is, in cases like that, always throw them in different directions. If you've put one in the left, definitely on the other side you should be using it. The little one. And, never run. Never run into the gulag. Slow and steady is gonna win you the game. Now, here, the moment you lose the game, you need to be looking for another opportunity. And usually what I do is, if I'm able, I'm going back to where I died. Now, this is basically 50-50. Most of the time they might be waiting for you, but given that the circle is closing, my opponent here was somewhere else, but not camping on my body. Now, the good part is that there's always most of the time there are some unopened, stashes, so that really helped me in that particular case. Now, another mistake that many players are doing is they're not taking under consideration the environment. So, it's quite important to know your surroundings. Now, the reason why I'm always dropping into the same location is because if I started some mission, you know, I'll be able to finish it. And that's pretty much, you know, quite important, especially if you die, because, you know, if you started a mission and someone looted absolutely everything, the mission stashes, you know, they're not visible for your opponents, so you can loot them, and, you know, that's quite important. Because not only the last mission is gonna give you cash, but you know the last mission usually drops masks, and you know that's very important. Now, make sure that you're using the right equipment as well, and field upgrades. Now, here I'm not using the munition one because I'm not entirely sure, you know, how this game is going to finish. But you know, if you have unstoppable, if you have the stopping power bullets, you know, make sure that you're using them. The bigger the loadout, the better. Over here, you know, my opponent, you know, found me again, and you know that's where you need to be quite careful, you know, what you're doing. Now, a lot of people make a mistake and you know they're not using the environment, but over here, you know, in Warzone, you know, there are no nameplates, so you can hide in the bushes and you know you can just wait. You know, I know that he's somewhere over there, and this is a mistake that other people are doing. You know, they're not patient. You need to be patient, you know, if you want to be successful in the Warzone, because, you know, the one who runs and rushing, you know, it's just not gonna work out for you. But over here, I know that he's somewhere over there, and I'm just patiently waiting for him because, you know, at this time, you know, he's thinking, you know, I don't see him, maybe he's running, you know, he chickened. But the fact is, you know, I'm just patient here, and some people might say that I'm a camper and I'm camping for him, but, you know, given the situation, you know, what else would you do, you know? Most likely right now he's aiming downside in the area, so the moment I come out, you know, he's gonna catch me, and I can, you know, pretty much, you know, hear him at some point, and I know that he will be coming out, and you know, I'm checking slowly, but you know, I know that he's over there, and you know, the moment he comes for me, you know, I'm just catching him off guard and pretty much, you know, having a revenge. Make sure that you're picking only the stuff that you actually need. Now, this current situation, you know, I have the money, so, you know, picking those is kind of pointless. But, you know, what we're gonna do is buy my actual loadout. Now, you need to be prepared for that moment. I mean, pick very careful what perks you're gonna get. You know, people usually pick two perks. Pick between two perks. The first one is the overkill, and the second one is, you know, the ghost. Both of them have, you know, different advantages. Well, another casualty of war, I guess. And the first one is that, you know, you'll be undetectable by UAVs, which is important. And not only that, you're invisible to heartbeat sensor. Now, this is the major, you know, thing. So it's quite important to have it, because if you go on a heartbeat sensor, you know, pretty much, you know, you're screwed in the end game. Now, if you're running with overkill, you know, that means that your standard loadout won't be a pistol or one of the rocket launchers. So in this particular case, it's a good example where a rocket launcher could come in handy. Now, any vehicle apart from the helicopter is very easy to target with a rocket launcher. Now, I wouldn't recommend the normal RPG. Here I am with the PIOA, and then you can see that this is just a free kill. You know, the guy, you know, you can't do anything. The moment they target your vehicle, you know, you're hopeless, you know, to do anything. So, you know, you need to consider it. Certain games, you know, people are amassing vehicles and, you know, they're just waiting at certain areas so you can blow them, and that helps a lot. Now, if you're close to explosion, most likely it's gonna incapacitate you and you'll be down, but or at least shatter you, so you'll be able to switch and immediately kill. Now if you're running with the overkill, you know, that means that you will probably be using a sniper. Now many people, you know, are using a thermal on the sniper and, you know, just a reflex scope on or iron sight on their actual main weapon. Now in that particular situation I'm not doing it. Here is an example where you have a sniper rifle and later in the game you know how much it helps. Now you need to know that, you know, using RPG on people is not a good idea. Now you need to know also that here in the particular situation the guy, you know, you can see takes time to reload, you're missing a shot and you're just losing, you know. So the first RPG missile, you know, missed, but the second one was close to me and, you know, it didn't kill me. So, you know, it got me enough time to just react and, you know, sort out that guy. Now what I'm doing right now in this particular situation, and it's, again, as I told you, and I'm preparing for the end game. Now checking out, you know, vital areas is also a not checking out vital areas is also a mistake. You can see that guy over here, you know, he's getting his loadout, and, you know, in case you're trying to do that, make sure you check the area, because, you know, there will be people. Now in that particular case, you know, a lot of people came and a lot of people died. So you know, you need to know when exactly, you know, you're gonna be killing, you know, and you need to make sure that you're picking the right fights. Otherwise, you know, it's just not gonna work out for you. So another mistake that people are making is that they're just not patient enough. Now the moment you are inside the circle, you need to make a decision. Either you're gonna be just walking aimlessly or searching for people, or, you know, you're gonna stick to one place and you're just gonna guard it. Now you can see over here that I decided to barricade in that particular place because it's inside the circle and I kind of know that it will be quite close. Now there were many mistakes made over here. Whether this is the right tactic for you, I'm not entirely sure, you know. I'm still getting to know the game. Maybe a mistake here I made is that I should have went maybe for a bounty, because it's gonna show you, you know, certain players where they are, but, you know, hey ho, you know, that's what happened. Now if you're planning to do this, you know, certain equipment is quite important. Now having a claymore, you know, to put on certain stairs is always good. So as you can see, another guy, you know, unprepared. Now I kind of liked his sniper, so I'm gonna trade it later on, because, you know, it's more powerful than the one that I have, than chemical. So, you know, usually if you're planning to place a claymore, don't place it in the areas where people can see it. You know, many times, you know, what I'm trying to do is if I kill someone and the gulag is still open, what I would do is put a claymore in around their stash, so the moment they go and try to retrieve it, you know, they're not able to see it because of all the items over there, so they're just gonna blow up. And, you know, it's all about, you know, waiting. You know, there are many things that I later on, you know, that I made mistakes with, but, you know, as a matter of fact, you know, so far the game was kind of top notch. Now you have to know that another mistake that people were doing is, you know, they're not prepared for the coming circle. You know, either they're caught up, or you know, they're just too early over there now. In general, there are two types of strategies. The first one is, as I made the previous video, is just, you know, deciding where exactly the last circle will be, or you're just walking with the circle collapse, you know, slowly, because you're counting on that no one's gonna be behind you, and that's usually the case. The moment the circle collapse, you know, there's absolutely no one behind you. I mean, they can't survive. Now here I'm deciding that, you know, it's enough time, you know, spent over here. I'm gonna pick my claymore. Kind of pointless at this stage, but you know, still, you need to be very careful, you know, what you're doing, because, you know, in Warzone you can kill yourself with your own claymores. It's not like in multiplayer. So here I'm just checking for final time, you know, if there's someone, you know, going for the actual vendor, and I'm immediately going towards the to the collapse of the circle. Now here, you know, I'm well positioned, you know, and it's catching me exactly where the actual new circle, but you know, that might not be the case. Now this, keep in mind that best cover is behind the mirror. You know, you can't really see through a mirror with thermal, or you know, the glint of the scope, you know, it's not visible. So many people, you know, are just breaking the actual mirror, not mirrors, windows. You know, that's a mistake in my opinion. And you know, pretty much, you know, that's the best option for you to cover an area. Now, no one around, so you need to pick the right moment when exactly you're gonna go, because keep in mind that you're not the only person that's gonna be doing this. You know, there'll be many players, you know, who'll be following the collapse of the circle, and you need to be just checking with your thermal. It's one of those things. It's just, I think that this game is more all about, you know, timing. If you have enough money, you can always buy yourself, you know, precision strike. It's quite good. You have to know that it's faster than cluster strike, and it's not visible for the enemy exactly where it's gonna go. Now the cluster strike, you know, it shows, so it gives them a little bit of time, you know, to react. So be careful, you know, how you're doing it. And you know, I saw this guy. Now if I had my rocket launcher, I would have went for it immediately. Now it's taking this sniper rifle, you know, because it's a little bit better, the chemical, in my opinion, and I will be trying to said not to break the windows, but here it is. You know, this one is going down, I'm pretty sure about that. Checking the area again, because, you know, as you can see, that's quite a big area that I'm looking at, and people will be coming from me for it. Now I can see another person, you know, going for the new circle, you know. You know, those drivers. Yeah. And you know, you need to decide whether you can make the kill, because you know, it can backfire on you. You never know what he might be having. Keep in mind that if you have a loadout with, you know, just regular rounds, you know, he might be having stopping force rounds, and that's pretty much it. You know, one round from a sniper with stopping power is gonna kill you. That's a guarantee. And you know, here I managed to break his armor, but I decided that, you know, it's just not gonna work out. You know, I'm just depleting his armor, which in the long run it's good, but you know, I haven't practiced, you know, in Warzone, you know, my long shot, so you know, I decided to give it a go. You can see over here that the circle is collapsing behind me, and you know, it should pick up soon with me, and that's pretty much, you know, one of the best strategies. You know, just go with the go with the circle. Now the problem with this one is that if someone has fortified an area, you might make the mistake and be a little bit careless, because if we imagine that each of this building has a person in it, that's a very big problem, because those people, they've been preparing for it, and they've been expecting you. In cases like that, it's possible that they mark an area and they just bomb you, and there's not much you can do. But this is part of the game. You just need to decide whether you're gonna go to the last circle by recon missions, or you're just gonna be following the collapse. Now in that particular case, I decided I didn't do any recon missions. At some point I believe that it's a mistake to start making them, because let's say if the circle has collapsed, there are too many players, and the moment they see the flare from the recon mission, they're gonna come and they're gonna show you what it's all about. Now this is the area where you're gonna be seeing people just moving from all the sides. So it's a fine, you need to find the fine balance between it. You can be, because the collapse of the circle, the gas is usually quite fast, and if you're let's say climbing an area, it will catch you, and you might end up in a position where it's just you have to use your mask, which is not a bad thing, but it's very difficult to outrun the gas. So what I think is a healthy solution is always be in the middle between the new circle and the gas. That way you always have enough time to react. Now if someone engages you, make sure that it's in an area where at least you don't have to to climb an area, or at least they don't have the higher ground. Now in this particular situation, I have all the disadvantages, because first I'm climbing that's a mistake that I made, and second, everyone who I'm facing right now has the high ground. Now while I was playing, I didn't see that over there. That was a truck falling, and here is another guy. Now you need to pick your fights. You need to know where exactly you need to engage, because I believe that if I have done the first shot, I wouldn't have killed him, and I would just expose myself. And this is the big mistake over here that I made. I just got caught by another player, and this is how it ended up for me.